Rudy Giuliani on WABC Talk Radio. He discusses Kung Flu treatment with two experts on WABC Radio. This video is reposted on all my social media channels as a public service.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought us to the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained by rational principles the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the powerful Kingdom of England and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and he explained it in ways that were understandable to the people, to all of the people. A great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we are able to reason. We're able to talk to each other. We're able to listen to each other, and we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it. Good morning. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is a special. It's a special to talk to you and discuss with you all of the many things that surround this terrible crisis that we're in. This coronavirus attack on America, on the world, on New York City in particular. Once again, we find New York City the epicenter, as we were during September 11. I guess that's what goes along with being the capital of the world, which is what I always called New York City when I was the mayor. This is the bad part of it, but also the good part of it is we have the people who are the strongest people in the world. I mean, we proved that on September 11. We proved it during the last blackout that we had when Mayor Bloomberg was the mayor. I mean, my goodness, I remember the days when New York City couldn't handle these things. And I am so proud of my people. I consider New York City my people. I grew up here. I was honored to be the U.S. attorney here and the mayor here. I served here for most of my public career. And I think I know the city certainly as well as anybody. I mean, I can know my way around Staten Island really, really well. So hopefully we can be some comfort and some help to people. Today, the numbers I guess we have to look at, the numbers keep going up. About 746,000 in the world, cases, 145,000 in the U.S., and 60,000 of those 145,000 are in New York State. And a big portion of those are in the city of New York. They keep going up, which is bad, but they are not doubling any longer, which is good. The governor believes we're looking at another 14 to 21 days in terms of peaking. Some others say longer. The mayor says longer. Some others say a little bit shorter. So why don't we say between 14 and 30 days? Now we have a guest. And the guest is Charlie Kirk, who runs Turning Point USA. Charlie is one of the most knowledgeable people in the United States. He travels all over the country, particularly to colleges. There are a few people that know all of the United States as well as Charlie. And we're going to get a chance to talk to him about how things are all throughout the country and also about the stimulus package. Charlie?
Mr. Mayor, it's an honor to be here. God bless you.
God bless you, too, and God bless you for all the work that you're doing. I know it's been just unbelievably helpful. Charlie, tell us maybe briefly, you probably have a better idea than those of us who are shut in, including me, about what's going on sort of generally around the country. We know New York City is locked in and complying, and we have all these numbers. But what's it like throughout the country?
Yeah, look, we as you know, Mr. Mayor, first of all, you're an American hero, so thank you for having me on.
God bless you.
Quite an honor. And so, look, first of all, the president's doing an amazing job. He was dealt an impossible hand here something that there was no playbook for. No president has had to marshal the entire government as quickly as he has to fight something we can't even see. It's never been done before, ever.
Right, absolutely
right. So, and
100%.
And usually an enemy is something that you can get intelligence, you can measure. This is very difficult, and he just deserves such credit. Look, I have to give first the American people credit for this amazing spirit. You look at people that have had their whole lives uprooted. I don't want to say destroyed, because I think there's going to be a great renewal, but they have been disrupted and uprooted. And you have people's livelihoods, just kind of put aside, and they're doing it for the betterment of the country. And I think our country deserves a lot of credit for that. I will say this, that the path forward is going to continually be built around, Americans rising up, Americans unifying. And, look, there's huge economic cost to this, and I think the president has been brilliant in weighing that and understanding that this is not just now a health issue, but also an economics issue. There's a lot of anxiety about that. I think that there's going to be some relief coming to them soon. Praise God. And I think we need to continue to understand the historical improbability of what the president is facing. And Mr. Mayor, when the president wins re-election, which I believe he will, we are going to be able to tell a story of how the president overcame impeachment that started 19 minutes after his inauguration, them spying on him.
We know that story, Charlie.
All of it, and a killer virus that the
my goodness, yeah.
Never seen. What president has had this kind of adversity in his first term? It's unbelievable.
At the right time, we can tell the whole story and take it back to January of 2016, right in the White House, with a plan to try to prevent him from being president, and then try to unseat him, and everything thrown at him, including a lot of false charges. And now, let's consider the fact that 3 months ago, none of us, including our greatest scientists, had any idea what COVID-19 was. We never heard of it. We didn't know it was coming. All the things we've done have been done roughly in 3 months. I don't think any country in the world could mobilize the way we do. If you need an analogy, it's like the Second World War, when we had to mobilize in a year. We had to get up to the two greatest armies and navies in the world, and we darn well did it. So I agree with you. Tell us a little about the stimulus package, Charlie. How will people understand? How should people understand this?
Yeah, look, and I've had some commentary on this. There's some terrific parts of the bill, and there's some not so good parts of the bill. And it's not. And I'm just gonna, I'm a huge supporter of the president, and it's not the president's. It's not on the president that there's this garbage in the bill. There
almost would have to be, right? It was put together at the last minute. You got a bunch of people, no matter what, they're going to try to sneak garbage in. That's the nature of I think he did the best he could to keep that out. But if you kept it out completely, you probably wouldn't have gotten a bill. So
that's right.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and so some of the pork was probably grease that allowed this thing to get moving, right?
Every once in a while, I had to sign a bill, Charlie, as the mayor, and I have to hold my nose. I needed something so bad, maybe for the police, that I had to go with programs that I thought were useless. And since I didn't have the line item veto, it was all or nothing. And so I sympathize with the president on this. But
I do too. And so, look, there's some great parts of the bill. Let's focus on the good, right? There'll be plenty of time to die. And I think Congress might go back, God willing, and fix some of the kind of loopholes in there. The unemployment provisions, I don't think, were written as thoughtfully as they could have been. For example, people can earn more on unemployment than they actually were gainfully employed, and an amendment to fix that was shot down. So I hope they go back and fix that.
So
that's never when I've.
So if I'm at home right now and I'm unemployed, my work has stopped. I've been laid off, effectively. What can I do? How do I get this money?
Yeah, you go through your state unemployment office. Now I'm fully supportive of someone getting the equal amount of their previous salary because of the disruption. I don't think you should be getting more. I think that incentivizes people to stay on the unemployment rolls as soon as this economy gets roaring again. But this is all going to be facilitated through the states. So that's one provision of the bill. The provision of the bill that's the best. Let's focus on that. The best part is the Payroll Protection Act. That's $50 billion. If you're a small business owner out there, you are able to apply for a small business loan to the SBA. I know people don't like the SBA. I've never heard anyone say a good thing about it. This money is going to be flowing through your banks, not through the SBA. That's a really good provision that the Treasury Department put through. So God bless them for that the money's actually going to go through your local bank. And there's hundreds of banks that have already been certified, and the money should start being released next week. And any money that you use on payroll, utilities, or rent will be totally forgiven.
So who can apply for this?
Any employer out there, small, medium, or large. Now, the maximum loan you could get is 2.5 times your payroll from Q2 of last year, 2.5 times, and up to $10 million. So, look, if your payroll is more than $10 million for a month, you're probably a pretty big business.
No, that sounds sensible.
Right. And so, for example, let's say that you're, you got a restaurant on the Upper East Side, and you've just been totally shut down, and you want to keep some people on payroll for, takeout and all this. You can apply for this SBA loan and get a maximum of up to 2.5 times payroll, and anything that you spend from the release of the loan from mid-April to the end of June will be totally forgiven if it's used on payroll, utilities, and rent. That's going to prevent evictions. That's going to prevent layoffs. I love this provision of the bill.
So if you have a payroll, let's say of $100,000 a month, right?
Yeah,
that's your payroll. You can apply for a loan, and you can get what effectively would be $250,000, right? 2.5 times.
That's correct. Yeah,
and so that's going to cover you for 2.5 payrolls. And then if you actually use it for that purpose and prove that, then it's written off.
That's right. It's totally forgiven.
Is that right?
You don't have to pay. Yes, that's right. You don't have to pay it back to the government. No interest, no principal, no penalties, nothing. Now, of course, if anyone tries to abuse it, the full force of the government should go after them, right?
And, and look, anytime you put a program like this together, unfortunately, I did too many of those cases, but the overall purpose of it is terrific. How do you access it, Charlie? Online?
Go to your local bank. So anyone that wants it right now, call your bank right now. They have every single major bank, BOA, Wells Fargo, or even local ones, especially in the WABC area. They have an SBA guy. So they have a full-time guy that's getting tons of calls. Call right now. You call your bank. You
call the bank. Call the bank that does the banking for your business, and say, "My people are home. They're laid off. Suppose they're doing some work at home."
That's okay. Yeah, and so you get what's called a payroll protection program, PPP, triple P, or you could also get an EIDL, which.
So we're gonna have to run, Charlie, but we're gonna be in touch often if you don't mind, because you've got a great perspective on this. And congratulations, Charlie. You're doing a lot to hold this country together. God bless you.
Man. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to talk a bit about the ship, the USS Comfort, which just pulled into to Pier 92, I believe. You should know I'm very familiar with that ship. It was brought to New York during September 11. And if you remember, our management center, because Governor Pataki and I managed the crisis together. We were together virtually for 3 months, inseparable. Our staffs held staff meetings together with us presiding every day, 3 times a day, 2 times a day. Something I urge on Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio, that they should be together doing this, because the city has assets to bring to it and the state does, and to have them operating in 2 separate spheres almost necessarily causes confusion. For example, 20,000 beds seem to be lost by the city. We're in a situation where we need beds. Roughly, this is the capacity in New York City: 53,000 beds, 3,100 ICU beds. That second number, 3,100, is really rather low. In fact, it surprises me that it's that low. Suggests to me not enough emergency planning was done over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. We used to have drills 4 times a year. We used to have tabletop exercises. And then we used to have in-the-field drills virtually every single year. of a big catastrophe. Not sure that's still being done. And the guy who was doing all of this left or was fired or whatever a couple of months ago. So that's got to be shored up. But the hospital ship now adds to our 53,000 beds, plus the additional beds that Governor Cuomo is creating at the Javits Center, the special beds that are going to be put in Central Park. It gives us 1,000 beds on what is virtually a new hospital that now is in New York City, ready to go tomorrow. 12 operating rooms. It was promised to us in 2 weeks, and we got it in 8 days. That's what I call Trump time. This is like the Wallman rink, if you people ever remember it, when he said, I can get it done, when Ed Koch and nobody else could get it done. Well, he got us the ship, and it's a hospital, and it's ready to go. And it's ready to go with a full staff of excellent doctors and nurses, I assume from the United States Navy. So that's something that should have us feel we're not in this alone. There's plenty of help, plenty of support. There's plenty out there. It's got to be coordinated better. Governor Cuomo is doing a great job. I talked to him this morning, and I said to him, and I hope he doesn't mind if I repeat this, that his father would be very proud of him. And I think you all know that his father was Mario Cuomo, the governor for 8 years. And almost president, I guess you could call it. And certainly whether you were a Republican or a Democrat, a very, very, one of the more intelligent men in politics, one of the wiser men in politics, and one of the most honest. And those things are things that span Repub, Dem, or anything else. I think a lot is to be desired from the mayor. The mayor's got to get in the game. He's got to be coordinated with the governor. Situation like this, a mayor can't do much without the governor. He needs the governor's approval for everything. On the other hand, the mayor's got the superior resources. He's got the best health department. He's got the best police department. He's got the best fire department anywhere. So those have to be coordinated with the state and with the state health department. So I urge on both the governor and the mayor, sit down, start running it together. Whatever your differences are, they're nothing in comparison to the lives of our citizens, which I know you care very much about. I can see the two of you working 24 hours a day. So let's make it as efficient as possible. And the same thing is true of the president. Stop the cheap political attacks. There have been very few of them, I must say. And to that, I congratulate the Democrats for getting above politics. But a few of them are still involved in it. And this whole attack against hydroxyquinoline really is just happening because it happened to be that the first person to publicize it was Donald Trump, as well as remdesivir. And to have governors ban it is, I mean, this whole thing, Republicans are supposedly against science and Democrats are in favor of science. Well, I've got studies of all kinds as to how hydroxy helps. The downside of hydroxy, the downsides, the side effects, what could it do to you if you used it improperly? We know because it's been used for malaria and rheumatism, and it's a well-known, I don't know how many administrations of it, thousands, maybe millions. So we know the worst things that it can do. We know the people who shouldn't take it. Maybe if you have a bad heart, you shouldn't take it. But that doesn't mean that someone without a bad heart shouldn't be allowed to get it. That's true of a lot of medicines. People who have cholesterol problems, one type of medicine will affect your kidneys and your liver. Well, that doesn't mean I shouldn't get that medicine because it doesn't affect mine. And then there's one that maybe can be found for you. So for these people to be pointing out the side effects as if they are universal, this is really ignorance or just being politically motivated when we don't have the time for it. I know because I talked to doctors all over the country. I was up 3, 4 in the morning on Saturday on one of these cases. Doctors are using hydroxyquinoline. They are using what we would think of as the Z-Pak, zithromycin, and they're using it then with another substance, and it's having, in most cases, a very, very good effect. Now, if you don't trust that anecdotal evidence, I put out on my podcast last week a report from Dr. Zelenko. Dr. Zelenko has treated, as of then, 699 patients. He put out a report in which none of those patients have died. 4 or 5 are in intensive care and are in serious condition, so we have to pray for them. But a number of those patients have either been cured or they are on their way to a full and complete recovery. And his therapy is hydroxyquinoline with erythromycin, and then he uses zinc. And he uses zinc for a purpose that he describes really well. He says that the hydroxyquinoline opens up a channel into the infected cell that allows the zinc to be fully efficacious, as opposed to if you and I take zinc, which we should, it will help us, but it won't help us in that kind of a dramatic way. So that's a study that should be looked at. And just because it comes from a rural doctor who's serving the Hasidic community doesn't mean it should be dismissed. Just in case you need more establishment support for it, the French put out a study over the weekend, should have been on the front page of the New York Times, but because this comes from Trump and the FDA and oh, please, we don't have time for this. Here's what it says. I'm going to read to you just a little bit of it, and you can get it on my website. It's going to be on my website. Go to rudyscommonsense.com. Go on my website, hit one of the buttons, the subscribe button or something else, and you'll be able to access this and read it for yourself. I'll put the underlined version in it because if you read the rest of it, like me, you have to go to the dictionary to figure out what the words mean. So here's what it says. In 80 inpatients, and this is over the last 3 weeks, very current, in 80 inpatients receiving a combination of hydroxyquinoline and erythromycin, we noted a clinical improvement in all but one 86-year-old patient who died and one 70-year-old patient who is still in the intensive care unit. So that's 78 out of 80 with a clinical improvement of COVID-19 patients and of rather serious ones. And the idea was to reduce the virus and to decrease the virus carriage duration, which means it decreases the time that somebody is contagious. And every day by which you can decrease that is a day in which we have less cases multiplying. So he then goes on with a scientific discovery, and he says this, number one, will put people on a way to a cure. We're not sure it's a cure or it reduces the symptoms dramatically, so then the attack on your system is not as dramatic, which is the way, for example, we deal with regular flu when most people recover from it. And also, this allowed patients to rapidly discharge from highly contagious ward with a mean length of stay of 5 days. I believe the length of stay before that was 9 days, 8 or 9 days. So that knocks 3 or 4 days off. And when you think about hospital beds, that's critical at these proportions. The virus cultures from patients' respiratory samples were negative in 97.5 patients by day 5. So this is a study from a Institute of Medicine in France, one of the most respected doctors in France. He's been actually interviewed on television. I've seen him. This should be something that we can rely on to go forward, not with the usual care that we go forward. We don't have time for the usual care, which is we do a blind study, we go into a stage 2, possibly a stage 3, because we want to make sure that we know every single one of the downsides here. We have a couple of advantages here. We have a well worn out drug that's been used for years, so we know its side effects. Therefore, we know who we shouldn't prescribe it for. Also, we know from those side effects, even if somebody fits into that category, how to prescribe it and watch it. Remember, in some of these cases, we're taking a risk with death. An elderly person who was compromised was dying within 5 days. That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time to treat. And I would consider this a lot better than a Hail Mary pass because it has support. Not a bad idea to say a Hail Mary, by the way, but it has support from the French. It has support from doctors in America. And also, let me just tell you anecdotally in my conversations with doctors like Dr. Hariri, it's being used. I mean, New York banned it, but it's being used in New York hospitals right now as we speak. It was used yesterday and the day before and the day before that on patients who I know. And it helped.
1 minute.
So let's get over this. Let's all start working together. If President Trump happens to mention one that is good, let's not go after it just because it's President Trump. And certainly the president has the role of trying to open up thinking on this. He has the role of trying to get it figured out so that we can move fast. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this by using our common sense, our discipline, and our great spirit as Americans. And when we get through it, we're going to be stronger than ever. God bless you, and I'll be back with you very soon to give you more advice.
And before I go, I want to tell you that we have designed a t-shirt appropriate to the current crisis that is sure to become a collector's item. Get one to wear at Walmart or Starbucks, and one to keep as a memorabilia of the biggest psyop since 9/11. These will only be available for a limited time, and the campaign will not be renewed. Order yours now. Campaign ends April 25th, 2020. The link is in the description below. This is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Inglorious Patriots. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this video. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your calls of encouragement. And most of all, thank you for your support. Please subscribe to our backup channels. Net4Truth USA 2 Patriot channel, BitChute.com/net4TruthUSA, and drop.space/@net4TruthUSA. We fly so close to the target, we are on our 5th fighter jet. We will be relentless and persistent until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description. But for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/net4truthUSA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.